Did you play any role on Mr. Depp's behalf with respect to the dissolution of his marriage to Ms. Heard?
Yes, I was actively involved in the negotiations of the separation and the marriage dissolve.
What role did you play in those negotiations?
Well, in my capacity as his business manager, I understood his financial capacity and the tax implications associated with it. So I was actively involved in addressing those issues as they were forthcoming from counsel.
You mentioned tax implications. What are you talking about there?
Excuse me?
I think you just mentioned tax implications. What are you talking about there?
Well, what I was talking about is that when Ms. Heard began the negotiations, she was asking for approximately $4 million. That
Objection,
balance
Your Honor.
then was
Foundation,
increased.
Hearsay, lack of foundation. Hearsay.
That's a party statement.
These are requests made by Ms. Heard and her counsel in a conversation, in communications.
Here, you want to approach for a minute?
Certainly.
Yeah, this is okay. You need to go up and say, Your
Party
Honor,
opponent.
this is a party opponent statement
Party
adverse
opponent
to their
statement.
interest.
Yeah.
A party opponent and their agent, which is theirs. So yeah, you can do that. This is not protected by any sort of privilege. It's not hearsay, and you know it. Rotten born, you piece of garbage. I was singing your praises earlier.
That was your mistake.
Yeah. No, but
You're
this
gonna
is why,
learn
though.
today.
But this is why I was singing his praises. He's got this objection at sidebar, and it shouldn't even be like the judge should have just said, "Come on,
Yeah.
you know this is admissible."
As a result of your involvement on
And he
behalf
won
of
it.
Mr. Depp
Sustained
in the
it.
negotiation, what was your understanding of what Ms. Heard was looking for?
Oh wait, no, he didn't.
She initially was looking for a consideration of $4 million, but her demand continually increased.
Okay,
It went
good.
from $4 million to $5 million. Then it went from $5 million to $5.5 million. Then it went to $7 million. And then it was $7 million, and she demanded that Mr. Depp also pay $500,000 to her attorneys. Then, after that consideration, she also said that all the community liabilities that were accumulated
Objection,
during the
Your
course of the
Honor.
marriage, which approximated
Sorry, there's an
$13.5 million.
objection, sir. Wherever there's an objection, I'm sorry. If you can't hear it, I'll let you know. Okay?
Thank you. Your
Yeah,
Honor.
no
This
problem,
just
sir.
goes into his allegations of what she said, which Your Honor just instructed, sustain the objection on that. He has no foundation to suggest that. No knowledge of that.
Your Honor, I understand that.
Clearly has knowledge
I
of
asked
it.
his understanding.
All right, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
There you go.
May I continue?
She'll tell you yes.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He learns very well.
So the next demand was that all of the community liabilities that were unresolved, approximately $13.5 million, that Mr. Depp had to pay those liabilities in its entirety. So at that point, she was demanding $14,250,000 of consideration. And then it got worse. The next demand was that all of this consideration be paid to her free of taxation. And counselor, for him to pay $14,250,000 to Miss Heard, that would require him to earn approximately
Objection, Your Honor.
$30
This
million.
is so far beyond the scope, so far beyond his
This is a
foundation.
great
of what was
answer.
discussed.
All right, I'll sustain that last answer.
Why'd you let him go that long, you
Next.
dummy?
Question?
Did you make a proposal as to how payments would be made to Ms. Heard?
Yes, I did. And they were initially contemplated to be paid directly to the charities. The Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, for the benefit of the children who required severe medical service, and to the
Thank you.
ACLU. During the course of the negotiations,
This
one of
guy's
the demands,
amazing.
because the contract changed, was that the payments be made directly to Miss Heard.
Did you
Oh, he hates
have
her.
any personal involvement with either the ACLU or the Children's Hospital?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
Mr. Depp directed me to issue two $100,000 checks directly to the Children's Hospital Los Angeles. I knew that he was involved and supported their efforts and appreciated his service. In addition to that, he directed me to contribute $100,000 to ACLU. In accordance with his instructions, my colleagues drafted the checks, I executed them, and they were delivered to the two charities.
Did you continue making payments to either of those charities on Ms. Heard's behalf?
No, in fact, I was chastised for making the payments by Ms. Heard's counsel and told that the payments in the future had to go
Objection, Your
directly
Honor.
to her.
This is clear hearsay. He's not answering the question. I would ask for you to instruct him to
Party
answer the
statement.
question and
It's
not
her agents.
expound upon his.
I'll sustain as to hearsay. Next question.
Oh no, you fight that.
What role did you play with respect to the payments ultimately made to Ms. Heard?
We supplied the payments to Ms. Heard in accordance with the agreement, either on or before the date in which they were required to be paid. The first payments made to Ms. Heard was $2 million in 2017. Then in April of 2017, another payment of $1 million made payable directly to Ms. Heard was made. Then in August of 2017, another $1 million was paid directly to Ms. Heard. Then in November, $500,000 was paid directly to Ms. Heard. My colleagues drafted those checks, I executed them, they were delivered on a timely basis. Therefore, in 2017, she was paid $4.5 million directly paid to her. Then on February 1 of 2018, she was paid the final installment of $2.3 million for total payments that went directly to Ms. Heard of $6.8 million.
Do you know when this lawsuit was filed?
Yes, it was filed in March 1, 2019.
Were the payments that were made on Mr. Depp's behalf directly to Ms. Heard the only economic benefit she received?
Objection, leading.
I haven't heard.
That one might have been
Go.
leading, but I don't think so.
I'll overrule the objection for purposes of now.
Yes, she did it.
Were the payments made on to Ms. Heard the only economic benefits that she received from the settlement agreement?
No, as I shared with you earlier, Mr. Depp was required to pay $500,000 to Ms. Heard's counsel, which he did in a timely and respectful manner. He was also required to pay all the community liabilities, which accumulated during their 15-month marriage, was approximately $13,500,000. So he paid all the community liabilities. She paid none of them. That's why you have to aggregate the money that was paid directly to her, the money that was paid to her, to the charities on her behalf, the money that was paid to her attorneys, and the relief of all these liabilities that he had to satisfy. That's why I said to you, Counselor, that the total consideration paid to her was $14,250,000, and she demanded that that payment be made free of taxation, that Mr. Depp would have to satisfy all the tax liabilities.
How long were they married for?
What is the tax liability?
They were
Just
married
ask
for
him.
15 months.
Okay.
Ask him what the tax liability is.
Were the payments?
It's
that
more
were
than
Ms.
that.
Heard the only payments that you've made?
It'd be
on Mr.
approximately
Depp's
15 and a
behalf?
half million.
No, we satisfied all of his obligations, so it was very customary for us to pay everything that Mr. Depp was obligated to pay.
Are you familiar with an entity known as 2020 Wine Merchants?
Yes, I am.
It's $2 million
What's-
a month.
Why are you familiar with it? What involvement, if any, did you have with 2020?
I satisfied the liabilities that Mr. Depp incurred, which at the dissolve of their marriage was approximately $160,000.
It's a shitload of
Do you
wine.
continue to pay Mr. Depp's wine bill?
Yes, I do. We pay all of his obligations, but his
Oh.
wine bill has shrunk to virtually zero because he does not consume that much in the way of wine. He's made a few gifts around Christmas time, but his wine bill has gone to virtually zero.
She was spending 10 grand a month on
Are you
wine.
familiar with a Spanish wine known as Vega Sicilia?
Yes,
How are you familiar with that?
I know that it is a very expensive wine and that I know that Ms. Heard enjoyed drinking the wine.
How much does it cost?
The cost of the wine is approximately $500 a bottle.
Were you ultimately charged with paying for the wine that was served on at the birthday party on April 21, 2016?
Yes, I was. We rendered the
Objection,
payment for that
foundation.
balance.
The foundation is
I'll
he was in
overrule
charge of
objection.
paying for it.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's literally a foundational
How many
question.
bottles of Vega Sicilia were served?
They've objected to foundational questions
At
for
Ms.
foundation
Hurd's
several
request, she ordered 5 bottles of the wine and 8 bottles of other wine. So a total of 13 bottles of wine.
Thank you, Mr. White. I have no other questions at this
Okay.
witness at this time.
Cross-examination.
It's devastating and short.
Done
That
and
was
done.
amazing.